Hello and a very good afternoon to one and all. I would like to start today's session by first thanking you all for taking the time to attend today's ADSelfService Plus webinar. I am Sharada Murthy, a product expert in ADSelfService Plus from the marketing team of Manage Engine, and I will be your presenter for today. Before we jump into the session, I would like to quickly check if my voice is audible and the display is well and clear. If you can hear me well and if the display is good, please drop in a yes message in the chat box. All right, great. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. With that said, let me quickly jump into today's session. And today is going to be all about beefing up security in your organization when it comes to passwords. And we are going to try and achieve this using ADSelfService Plus. So today's session is on how to enforce strong passwords in your organization with a password policy enforcer. So if you have any questions during the session, please keep them coming. I will try and answer them during the session itself. And we also have a dedicated question and answer session towards the end. The last 10 minutes would be just for question and answers. So you can save your questions for then as well. So what you see on your screens right now is a quick walkthrough as to why we need to focus on password security. I'm sure we all have arrived at a place where we have some kind of a password self-service solution in place to help users in your organization take care of their own password self-service actions. That is basically password resets and change password operations. But we need to move forward. We need to move further down from looking at password self-service as just an economic option to help, let me say, reduce or eliminate help desk calls in your organization, not just on the monetary perspective, but we need to move forward from looking at users not being able to log into the system or reducing the downtime. And we need to also look or focus on the security perspective of things. What I'm trying to say here is that, yes, it is good to have a password self-service solution in place. But the question is, how secure is the solution? With a password self-service solution in place, are you entirely sure that when users take care of their own self-service actions, when users go through a seamless password reset, are you entirely sure that the process is secure? Or if the passwords that the users abide to are good enough? And that is going to be the focus of today's session. A couple of facts listed on your screen at the moment. 90% of the Fortune 1000 companies still rely on Active Directory. So this is just to give an importance on the big percentage of organizations in today's world that still make use of Active Directory. I'm sure you're aware that the native Windows Active Directory does not support password self-service yet. 18 years, more than 18 years, and the native Active Directory still does not facilitate support for native Windows password reset or password self-service options. And when we resolve to other password self-service solution, the problem is that in 2018, this stat is the latest. In 2018, 1 in every 5 enterprise users' credentials can be easily compromised. My question to you here is, are you entirely sure that users in your organization are still not making use of the word password, 12345 QWERTY, your organization's name, or for instance, December at 2018 as their passwords? Can you take complete responsibility to ensure that users in your organization do not resort to weak passwords even today? I'm sure the answer is no. And it is not the case just for your organization, but mine as well. The reason being, we do not have the right kind of awareness. The users do not have the right kind of awareness about password security. And that is also why, according to Microsoft, 95 million Active Directory accounts are under cyber attack on a daily basis. And the reason why this huge number of Active Directory accounts are being targeted is because Active Directory has evolved as more than just a directory service in the last couple of years. Active Directory will continue to be of vital importance with Azure AD in place as an authentication source, as an IDP service. And the importance that Active Directory is going to have is not going to drop down in the upcoming years, but it also is topping the list of being the easiest to be targeted when it comes to cyber attacks. Thankfully, the last Active Directory based cyber attack was about 2 years back. We haven't come across a major data breach in the last couple of years, in the last 2 years. But the unfortunate thing is 81% of the attacks that happen in today's world, 81, that is a huge number, 81% of attacks that happen in today's world are because of a compromised password. And that is exactly why we are trying to talk about password security and how you can take a simple measure to beef up password security in your organization with a solution, a password self-service solution in place, which also helps you enforce a granular password policy. That is precisely what I am going to be discussing today. I'm going to help you, walk you through setting up a granular password policy. So the agenda that we have in front of us today is to secure your Active Directory domain by first eliminating weak passwords. Like I said, 18 plus years of Windows Active Directory, and we haven't really seen a drastic change in the password policy. Yes, we did have an update with a group policy. We did have a fine-grained password policy that came up, but we haven't seen a change in the password security aspect of it. We still can make use of old passwords. We still can use passwords with a length of 8 and less. We can still use patterns. We can still use dictionary words. And I think this is precisely why, or this is the major reason why Active Directory is the most targeted. And we still have the word passwords or patterns like 12345 or QWERTY being listed as the most commonly used passwords every single year. And we have to take the step to make an effort to change that in our organization. And that is exactly what I'm going to be talking about. So what we're going to do here today is try to secure our Active Directory domain by first eliminating weak passwords. We are going to be able to do that by setting a granular password policy. The advantage of this is that you can customize this. You can create a custom fine-grained password policy based on OUs and groups present in your Active Directory. And you can also create a policy that is enforced not only for your Active Directory, but across your Active Directory users and computers console, your Control-Alt-Delete screen, and also during password synchronization on several popular on-premises and cloud applications. So when I said beef up password security, I mean not only for your Active Directory, but across multiple on-premises and cloud applications for which you can enable password synchronization with ADSelfService Plus in place. And also for the ease and to help users be aware of what is going on in their environment, we are also going to display the enforced custom password policy on all these pages, right in the web console, your Gina CP screen, as well as the Active Directory ADSelfService Plus mobile app as well. So with that said, let me quickly jump into today's session. I am going to log into ADSelfService Plus as an administrator. And the very first step that I'm going to do is enforce a custom granular password policy. Also, if you have any questions during the session, if you have trouble with the voice or the audio, or if you have any questions or drop down in the network, please drop it a message immediately so I can rectify and get back to exploring our granular password policy enforcer. All right. So under the configuration tab is where you will find password policy enforcer under self-service. So what I've done here is nothing but added a particular domain that I'm working with today, and it's SSP workshop. So when I try to enforce a policy, I can set up one universal policy for all users in this particular domain. All right, so the minimum password length is going to stick to 8. Let me include one special character, one numeric. I'm going to disallow palindromes, disallow use of a character more than twice, 5 consecutive characters from the usernames. These are the basic complexity rules that are available. So this is a simple rule which I can apply to all the users in this particular policy, in this particular domain. And what I'm going to do is enforce this policy and show the policy requirements in the reset and change password pages as well. So once this is done, let me quickly save. And believe me when I say this, this is all you need to do as an administrator to enforce a custom password policy, a universal custom password policy. So what I'm going to do now is try and log in as a user. I'm going to try and log in as myself, Sharada in this case. All right. So I just made use of my Active Directory credentials to log in to the user portal. And this time, when I jump to the change password page, I'm going to show you that this password policy that we had just enforced is listed right here. I'm sure you're aware that this is not the traditional native Windows password policy. What I'm going to do is go ahead, enter my old password, type in my new password. You can see a check against all the complexity rules that I have abided to, and also a good green to go signal, the password strength analyzer, which tells me that I can go ahead and change my password and ensure that the password of the user Sharada is strong, it is secure, and it is definitely a smarter password when compared to the native Windows tool. Just for your reference, what I'm going to do is try and log in as another user. All right, let me try and disable this first. All right, and now let me try and log in as another user, Adam. Logging in as Adam. Adam needs to enroll with ADSelfService Plus because this is the first time he's logging in. So if you're wondering what enrollment is all about, it is just a way to ensure that users sign up with this particular application. So when you have ADSelfService Plus in place, you need at least a single method of authentication to enable a secure password reset process. So that's precisely what enrollment is all about. And this time you can see that as I've disabled the granular custom password policy, this is the native Windows password policy requirement listed on your screen. So this basically allows a minimum password age of 0, maximum of 15, password length at 8. Not much of a complexity applied right here. No history rule, no consecutive characters, no palindromes. So this is precisely what I'm talking about. You as an administrator can enforce a universal password policy for all the users in your organization. But when I'm talking about creating custom password policies for different users based on their organizational role, for example, if we have an administrative group or if we have a organizational unit, a privileged user organizational unit, we do not want to apply the same password policy for users in that particular OU or group specifically. So in this case, what you can do or how it typically works is that ADSelfService Plus basically works on custom self-service policies. Let me name this as admin. I'm going to select OUs and groups present in the Active Directory, uncheck the entire policy, choose the admin group that I'm working with, save this particular policy, and once this is done, under Password Policy Enforcer for the policy admin, I can go about and make changes to the password policy listed right here, specific to users belonging to the policy admin. Let me quickly walk you through what I've done in the background before we kick-started today's session. So what I did is created a test OU under my name, Sharada, and I've created OUs and groups trying to replicate a simple organizational structure: admin, finance, and marketing. So I'm sure that administrators need a beefed up password security when compared to the other users present in the organization. So what I've done here in ADSelfService Plus is I've created a custom password policy for the self-service policy admin. So users belonging to admin have permission to reset, unlock, self-update, as well as change their password. Let me go about and create another custom self-service policy. So this time it is for marketing. All right. Let me do one thing. Let me disable the self-update option for users belonging to marketing. Let me also disable the unlock account for users belonging to marketing. Save this particular policy. All right. So you know that I haven't enabled a custom password policy for the group marketing, obviously. I haven't. We're sticking to the native Windows password policy. But for the users belonging to admin, I'm going to enforce a custom password policy. In the Gina CP screen, I'm going to show the display the policy in the reset and change password pages as well. Let me do one more thing. Let me try and say that amidst 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 password policy requirements or complexity requirements, they have to meet 5. Let me say 5. And let us also try and customize this in the web portal so I can show you how this works. So when it says disallow palindromes, I'm going to simply change the text to the same. Disallow palindromes password. So this is going to be the display text. I'm going to save this. It is the same way it works for the mobile app as well as the Gina CP screen. All right. So once this is saved, this policy is applied. Let me try and log in as a user and show you the change that you can see right away. So I'm going to try and log in as Sharada, who belongs to the policy admin. There you go. So when I try and change my Active Directory password, all right, so yes, I got lucky. I have satisfied 5 out of 7. Let me see if I can try and change my password. And before I do that, also note that you can customize the display text and it has been reflected right there. So yes, I was able to successfully change my password. Now I'm going to show you the difference. So let me log in as Adam, who I believe belongs to marketing. Let me quickly check that. Oh yes, Adam does belong to marketing. So here you can see that the native password policy is available, and the difference, if you had noticed, is that the user does not have an option to self-update his personal information. All he has is change password, enrollment, and applications right here. And he can go about and do a password change operation. So what I'm trying to mention here is that you can customize different password policies, more stringent password policies for privileged user accounts, simpler password policies, customize the complexity requirements, ensure that users are aware of the complexities that they need to meet, but at the same time give them the choice to choose between which complexity they can actually abide to, making it easy for them to set a particular password, because we do not want them to forget the password and get logged out of the account. Once again, that is one of the biggest concerns when it comes to Active Directory users not being able to access the machine because of a forgotten password. But like I said, ADSelfService Plus is primitively and majorly a password self-service solution. So let's imagine that case as well. Let's imagine that I, as a user, have forgotten my password. So what typically happens is, let me try and see if I can lock myself out of this. So what happens is that if I do not remember the password anymore, the advantage that ADSelfService Plus provides is that I can go about and reset or unlock my account right from the ADSelfService Plus console. So what I'm going to do here is try and give in the username Sharada. Try and change the password for the user Sharada. Let me click on continue. And when I go about with this operation, if you remember, we had enrolled with the security question answer. I had primarily done the same for the user Sharada as well. Same questions and answer, if you can notice. So yes, once I given the answer to my security questions to reconfirm my identity, right there on your screens, you can see that I can go about and reset the password for Sharada's Active Directory account right here from the Gina CP. I am going to enter the CAPTCHA and reset the password. Though I haven't satisfied all the password complexities listed, I was still able to successfully reset my password. And this is because I had checked in the option to allow 5 out of 7 or 5 out of the selected password complexity rules. So this is the advantage of being able to customize a custom granular self-service policy for users in your organization, specific to OUs and groups present in your organization. All right. So if you do have any other questions, please drop them in the questions tab. I will try to take the answer right during the session itself. With that said, let me jump to the next interesting part of today's session. When I started, I said that we are not going to talk about beefing up the password security of just Active Directory. So what I meant when I said that is that ADSelfService Plus is an integrated password self-service and single sign-on solution, which means that we provide one identity with the help of password synchronization, and we provide password synchronization for all the applications listed on your screen, both on-prem and cloud. So what I've done here is I have pre-configured an Office 365 account. I'm going to customize this, and I am going to do the same specific to the policy marketing. So only the users belonging to the policy marketing will have access to Office 365 password synchronization. With that said, I am going to given the password and update this particular configuration. Pretty simple. All you need is the domain name, an admin account, and the password to set up Office 365 password synchronization and get it up and running. All right, so now this is done. What I'm going to do now is go to Password Policy Enforcer, choose Marketing, enforce a custom password policy. Remember, this time I'm not only enforcing a custom password policy for my Active Directory, this will be applied to my Office 365 or any other password synchronized account as well. So it's going to be 2 special characters, both upper and lower cases. Yes, disallow patterns, QRT, SDF 12345, disallow dictionary words. All right, disallow use of 5 consecutive characters from the old password. I'm going to enforce this in the GINA CP, display it in the reset and change password pages as well. Once this is successfully updated, let me sign out. Go to forgot your password. Try and reset Adam's password. Click on continue. Favorite color, dream country that I dream of vacationing in. Click on continue. After I verified Adam's identity, you can see that the user has a choice to reset the password not only for the Active Directory but Office 365 account as well. And this particular policy that the user resets will be applied across both his Active Directory and Office 365. Let me try and see if I can bypass this. I have satisfied 5 out of all the listed policies. All the accounts are selected, which means I'm trying to reset my password for both AD and Office 365. But when I attempt to make a password a password reset, I have a message which says that the password has failed to meet the complexity requirements because it must contain a special character, both upper and lower cases, and it contains restricted patterns. So this means that you can enforce a custom granular password policy and beef up security of your Office 365 account, your Active Directory. If password synchronization is between multiple Active Directory, that is multiple domains, you can enforce one single custom password policy between multiple domains as well. You can allow the same for your HP UX, for instance, your Oracle, all the applications that ADSelfService Plus supports for when it comes to password synchronization will now be scrutinized because you have applied a custom password policy right here from ADSelfService Plus for all the password synchronized applications. Let me quickly show you the applications that you can enforce a custom password policy for with the help of password synchronization. So this acts as a major advantage, and this is what I meant when I said beef up security in your organization. Users work with an average of 5 or more applications on an everyday basis, and this is a recent report from 2018, early 2018. So we are talking about securing the passwords for Active Directory as well as multiple on-premises and cloud applications. All right, so now I'm going to jump to the interesting part, my favorite part of today's session. In the Password Policy Enforcer tab for the policy admin, what I'm going to do is disallow dictionary words, disallow use of patterns. I'm going to include the word password as well. All right. And reduce the complexity a little. Okay, I think I can keep up to all these listed complexity rules. I'm going to enforce this password policy in the Gina CP screen as well as the Active Directory users and computers console as well. Save this particular policy for the user admin. Now let's try and do a change password operation for the user Sharada from the Gina CP console. There you go. As I enter my old password, I have my new password complexity requirement listed right there on my Control-Alt-Delete screen or Gina CP console. What I'm going to do now is try and use the word password at 123. So it has a pattern, it has a dictionary word, but I've pretty much satisfied all the other rules. So let me try and see if I can bypass and go about and change Sharada's password. I'm sure you guessed this is what would happen. And this is possible because you have a GNUB CP installation in place, and the ADSelfService Plus application, which has enforced a granular password policy, will ensure that users cannot change or reset their password even from the Gina CP console without sticking to the enforced granular password policy. So this password that I just used, password at 123, was rejected because it had both a pattern as well as a dictionary word, though it satisfied all the listed rules, all the complexity requirements listed. So what I'm trying to stress here is that we can literally eliminate all weak passwords in your organization with just one custom password policy with one complexity rule, the dictionary rule, as well as the patterns rule, which means you can avoid users to use the word password, 12345, QRT, your organization name, their employee name, and all that and much more, which means that you have already taken the step towards securing your Active Directory. And this also means that your users will fall under the 4 out of 5 enterprise user credentials, which cannot be easily compromised. So when I started the session, I was talking about how 1 in every 5 enterprise user credentials can be easily compromised. So with just one step, you are ensuring that every single user in your organization fall under the 4. You're ensuring that your organization cannot be easily hacked or attacked because of password management troubles, users' password credentials. And you are ensuring, or you're taking the next step towards safeguarding your organization, your network, and your sensitive information from the 81% of attacks that are because of password troubles. All right. So with that said, we saw how to beef up password security by enforcing a universal password policy to secure your Active Directory domain by eliminating weak passwords. We also created custom password policies for 2 different policies today, admin and marketing. So we were able to block dictionary words and patterns, and this can be done. You can granularly enforce them specific to OUs and groups present in your Active Directory. And this can be done by creating self-service policies in ADSelfService Plus, specific to OUs and groups present in your Active Directory. You can also enforce the created password policy in your Control-Alt-Delete screen, which is nothing but users Gina CP console. And this can also be enforced during password synchronization. We saw a popular example of Office 365 today. And you can also display or customize the text for the enforce custom password policy on both the reset and change password pages. So let me quickly try and show you what happens when an administrator tries to reset the password from the ADUC console right there. Let me try and use the word password. Click on OK. And I'm not sure if you've seen this message before, but you as an administrator can also not go ahead and reset the user's password if it does not meet the complexity requirements enforced from the ADSelfService Plus console. So that is a pop-up from the domain services which says that the password cannot be changed or reset because it does not meet the password complexity requirements. This is exactly what we've been stressing about. This is exactly what we are trying to avoid. We can work towards literally eliminating users sticking to weak passwords in your organization. And I'm going to give you an alarming fact once again. I've done my part of the research uh, before I came here for this session, and I try to get the latest update about weak passwords. And believe me when I say this, 70% of the users in your organization are using passwords that are weak, are using old passwords, or have less than 3 passwords that they use across multiple applications. And to change that, to avoid that, you can ensure that one password that they have that is easy to remember for them is also smart and secure. Because it is easy to say that the smart password length is 13. But how many of us in reality can remember a 13 letter or a 13-digit long password? Yes, passphrases are the most difficult to crack. We also support the passphrases rule right here. You can override all the other complexity rules if you have a password length that you can customize as an administrator. But my question is, do you think the length of passwords is enough to ensure security? Are you trying to tell me that a password that is 13 digits or 13 characters long is secure? I will definitely bet on the no. And that is because we do not know what those 13 characters are or how easy it is to crack them. So with complexity rules like this, with by striking a right balance between the complexity as well as the length of the password, I am sure you can get to a point where you can ensure that users in your organization are not using weak passwords. And as a user, you can also keep them aware of the password complexity rules by displaying them in the reset and change password pages. We also support a check against all the complexity rules that the user has abided to. Right there, a check against all the complexity rules stating that the password is good to go, giving the user the confidence that the password that they have abided to is good to go. And this is not just for the Active Directory, but across multiple on-premises and cloud applications as well. So yes, with that said, I have come to the end of today's session. I really hope that this session was informative and useful. I am going to take time to answer all the questions that you have about customizing a granular password policy for users in your organization. So please keep your questions coming. And yes, if you do have any other questions regarding ADSelfService Plus, or if you need a quick demo, if you'd like to claim our year-end offer, or any other query with respect to ADSelfService Plus, you can reach me. This is Sharada Murthy, and you can drop in a mail to me at sharada@manageengine.com. All right. So with that said, I'm going to quickly wind up today's session. Thank you so much for taking time away from your busy schedule to make time for this particular webinar. It was an immense pleasure to be the presenter for today and to have you on board. With that said, I'm going to quickly sign off for the day. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. I'm going to take time to answer your questions. Also, if you need the recording of this particular session, if you require the resources, drop in your mail ID in the questions tab right away, and I will ensure that the resources reach you. And you will also be sent a feedback form after today's session. So if you look forward to any other sessions, upcoming webinars that you would like to enroll for, make sure you mention that. Any other suggestions, questions, your feedback, you can drop them there, and I will ensure that I take my best efforts to ensure that you get the best out of ADSelfService Plus. And with that said, this is Sharada Murthy from the Manage Engine ADSelfService Plus, signing off for today. Thank you so much and have a great day ahead.